Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
Happy Friday, everyone. We have made it officially to back together weekend for the Denver Broncos as they wrapped up day 2 of training camp on Thursday. There was plenty to dive into, but I'm also going to be totally real with you. It was a boring practice. It was very much a run-through practice. They decided to practice on the field opposite of the media, but there were a few things that we picked up on about the quarterback battle. Of course, the running back position is going to be very interesting. And then Cortland Sutton gets a contract restructuring, not to be mistaken with a contract extension. So we'll dive into all of that, but we'll, of course, start with who is running with the ones, because that's the question everybody wants to know. And just like we expected, although I will say I did on Denver Sports Daily earlier yesterday morning, and I was like, I think it's going to be Zach Wilson today because it makes sense that Bo Nix is going to be in front of the crowd today. And I was wrong. Bo Nix was with the starters today. He was rolling with the ones. Jarrett Stidham was there on Wednesday. So Zach Wilson on Friday today? I don't think so, to be completely honest. So we're going to get into that because Sean Payton had a long pause that makes you think very differently about the quarterback. But Bo Nix looked relatively solid today. Nothing too crazy to report. It felt like he got a little bit, on Wednesday, he felt like he kind of was a little bit slower. Things weren't clicking as well. And today it definitely felt like he was a lot better. He looked a lot more solid, which was good to see. I was happy to see that out of Bo Nix. I'm Team Bo. Throw him into the fire. Get him out there week 1, Seattle. Let's see what he's able to do. I know some people are being like, no, you have to be cautious with him. Like, make sure he's actually ready. But it's such a minute line, I feel like, between where Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham stand on how they look together. On Wednesday, Jarrett Stidham looked a lot better. So if that's what we're going to see all throughout training camp, then yeah, it makes sense to go with Jarrett Stidham. But if it's like hair's difference, then I think you roll with Bo Nix. He's your future. He's the guy. And there is a certain level of confidence with Bo Nix. You know, he stands with his hands on the hips. He looks like he knows what's going on. He feels very in control. You get that sense of urgency, of preparation, of confidence when it comes to Bo Nix, which personally I love in a quarterback. That's exactly what I want to see. I want him to go out there and know, hey, guess what? I'm the future of this Denver Broncos team, and I'm going to act like it. I don't think it's cocky. I think it's confidence, so I'm totally here for it. Zach Wilson, again, he didn't look as bad as he did on Thursday, or on Wednesday, but he's far behind the other 2 quarterbacks. So it just makes me wonder what Sean Payton is seeing, what that's going to end up looking like. And there was a long pause for Zach Wilson when our very own Andrew Mason asked a question about him. And when I tell you we're talking 6 seconds, that's how long of a pause it was for Sean Payton when he was asked about it. He had to come up with a very strategic answer on Zach Wilson. We're going to play the clip here, but those 6 seconds, we're all sitting there like, what's he going to say about him? Because it was just very apparent, but it just gave us code for Zach Wilson has not impressed. Sean Payton will praise guys that have impressed him, it seems like. And with the answer we got on Zach Wilson, it just makes me think, more slightly behind schedule. Take a listen.
I think we'll be able to see that a little bit clearer in the games. But look, he's learning a new offense just like Bo is. But there's a calming presence to seeing him. You know, in other words, I think, that experience, I think you begin to appreciate what's most important maybe sometimes and not worry about some of the things that aren't as important. That takes place. And so less wasted energy maybe. Those would be a few things.
Sean, you've been very...
Oh, that answer just definitely does not leave you thinking, good stuff. Zach Wilson's looking really good. Zach Wilson has the confidence of Sean Payton. Did not leave me thinking that whatsoever. More in the sense of, okay, we kind of saw what we were getting when we were with the Jets and nothing else. So we'll see what they end up doing with Zach Wilson. It obviously sounds like we will see in a preseason game. At some point, if he's going to run with starters, I don't know if they're going to hold on to him for that long. I mean, he'll be on the roster all throughout training camp, obviously, but if we'll just dial it in on the ones and the twos. Today, Friday, will be the biggest day, though, of did Zach Wilson start over Bo Nix? Do they continue the rotation like we've seen? You're putting this quarterback in front of your fan base for the very first time. Is it going to be Jared Stidham? Is it going to be Bo Nix? Or is it going to be Zach Wilson? Cecil Layman, I have a bet. Hopefully I'm winning this bet. That's my goal. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Cecil wins it, because I think it could be we agreed on Bo Nix. Like, that was original. I've got the video. I will put it on social media. I'm pretty sure it's actually already on social media. But one way or another, we had a Torchies bet that he had Bo Nix starting tomorrow. I had Zach Wilson, because I think Sean Payton is going to keep it fair. He's not going to care what the media and the fan thinks. That doesn't matter to him. But in his own head right now, like, you have to keep the quarterback competition very much the same. But with his answer right there, I kind of also think that we might possibly just see a Bo Nix out there tomorrow running back to back with the ones. I guess we're going to find out. I'm really excited. Okay. Running back room narrowing. That's our next topic to discuss. And because I feel like it is very true, it is kind of narrowing down. Sean Payton had really nice things to say about Audric Estime, in particular about him being a runner, right? Like, the conversation and the question that eventually started with Audric Estime is, one, he looked super fast today. On Wednesday, he didn't look super fast and was kind of like, okay, is the knee not back to 100% like we thought it was going to be for camp? So we were all kind of just waiting and watching a little bit. But today, on Thursday, he looked really solid when it came to his running abilities. And I was like, okay, perfect. He looks actually like a really solid back. Then when asked about if he was going to be a receiver type running back or just more of a runner, Sean Payton definitely emphasized the runner mentality. Now, my only question is Jaleel McLaughlin was never going to be that pass protector. He's never going to go out there and be that guy. And it's become very clear that it seems to be Javonte is the one, Jaleel behind him, and Audric Estime behind him. So that leaves Samaje Perine most likely out of the mix, which they could easily move on from him. But those other three guys, not a lot of them are really good pass protectors. So I don't know where you give and you get. Do you keep another running back for that sole purpose? Do you keep a wide receiver on that mix? I'm not sure how they're going to align this 53-man roster, but it's looking less and less like Samaje Perine will make this, which I said all along. I never thought that they were really going to move on from Javonte Williams. That seems very foreign to me, especially with how highly Sean Payton has talked about him, and even more so this week especially. They've talked very highly about Javonte and wanting to get him back out there. So I never really thought that it was going to be Javonte. It made more sense for it to be Samaje Perine, who gets let go. He's been a career backup almost his entire career. He fits that mold. So, yeah, does that make me kind of sad? A little bit, because Samaje is kind of just like that guy. Like, and he is good in pass protection, and Jaleel's not going to be that guy. Estime maybe in a slight bit, but also Javonte is not going to be, your main pass protection guy either. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how they mingle and they mess around with this 53-man roster for sure. But another thing, I'm looking down at my notes from practice. I'm like, what else did I have for you guys? Oh, Greg Dulcich. How could I forget the name everybody wants to know? First of all, Lucas Kroll looked fantastic today. He looked really solid. He is a big tight end. He looks great. Greg Dulcich, however, not that he looked bad. He didn't have a bad day out at practice whatsoever. He's just, when he plants his foot, the speed takes a second to get there. It's like a boom. Okay, now we can go. There's like a half second, a split second where you can tell he's planting his foot to make sure that he's actually got stable ground, and then he's getting there, and the speed just isn't 100% there. It's no stop and turn very quickly type thing. So I don't know if he's just being super cautious because he obviously doesn't want to get hurt again, or if there's something else and we are still dealing with, a little bit of backlash when it came to this injury. I'll keep watching. We're going to see if it improves, obviously, over camp. I'm excited that the fans will finally be able to go out there for camp. I think it's going to be super fun to be able to see. Javonte Williams obviously discussed the fact that he went down in weight, which was really good. They gave him a number and he said, okay, got down to it. He looked super fast. He looks back to Javonte Williams, which makes me so freaking pumped for the regular season to see him get out there and ball out. It's going to be an absolute blast. Let me know in the comments if you are watching us on YouTube. Please go back and let me know which names you want me to pay attention to for during the rest of camp, because obviously there's the big names, and I know everybody wants to talk about him. The quarterbacks, of course, Javonte Williams, of course, Cortland Sutton now, yes, which we're going to get into that in just a second. I'm trying to think who else people care about, like the Zach Allens of the world, not necessarily like the Brandon Jones, but what's going to happen in the secondary. I know a lot of people are very curious on that front. So let me know how you're feeling, what names you really want me to pay attention to, and who you are most excited about, because I will make sure to report back on all of that, because I get to be your eyes and ears, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity. But I want to make sure you guys are all getting the content that you want to see. Again, we've got solo sessions all through training camp, just me and you guys chit-chatting away. So it's been really good, though, to see everybody kind of get back out there, and we're going to get more into the groove of it. Also, they did change. Pads will not go on until Monday. So I know we said Saturday. Sean Payton changed that. It is now going to be Monday, which is a huge bummer. I was really excited for the fans on Saturday to see the pads come on, but it'll now be Monday. So if you are trying to go out to camp, I don't know if they're all sold out now at this point. I know this weekend was completely sold out, but I think Monday and on will be a better time to be able to go out to practice, be able to see all of that. Practices also go till 12:30 starting on Wednesday. So you got a little bit less time if you're not trying to bake in the heat for too long if you go before Wednesday. So just a heads up. Now the Cortland might get paid. You might be like, Rachel, he might get paid. Correct. He might get paid. And I want to make sure that we've got this graphic, which will lay out essentially what's going on with Cortland Sutton, because I saw the graphic come across and I was like, there's no way they just restructured him to a contract extension. Like, he's not deserving of it. And of course, being a media member, when you are so, open and honest, and I'm like, there's no reason they should give him a contract extension. I'm sitting here like, well, now I look like an idiot because I just said that they shouldn't give him one, and they didn't give him a contract extension. Let's make that very, very clear what this means for Cortland Sutton and his future. There is no contract extension. He is still on contract for 2 more years. However, he can make more money, which is essentially what he wanted to do in the long run anyways. So Cortland Sutton, in previous contract, he can make a maximum of $13.6 million. His new contract, he can make a maximum of $15.2 million. He had a $200,000 incentive bonus essentially in his previous contract. That has now gone up to $1.7 million. So that's where the new contract restructuring comes to. It has nothing to do with an extension. It's still all of the same base money, but depending on whatever stats they have laid out in this contract, that is how Cortland Sutton can get paid more. So from $200,000 to $1.7 million is how it's going to look. I would not be surprised if it has to do with touchdowns, if it has to do with yards, something along those lines makes a lot of sense. And let's be honest, I have bonuses in my contract. It makes me work a lot harder during those times to make sure I hit those bonuses. I do not think bonuses are a bad things for players at all, especially when you want to say, hey, we really do want to keep you around, but you have to be able to show the production level. And I think that's what we're mainly going to see out of Cortland Sutton this time around is he has to, I've said it all season long, you want to get paid like a wide receiver number 1, well, then you better have 1,000-yard season. So I'm sure something along those lines is going to be in there. If it's 1,000 yards, if it's 1,200 yards, who knows? But those type of incentives hopefully are going to be in there. Or if it's like a total or like a percentage of however many completions he makes, something along those lines, because it can be a little difficult when it comes to those yards when you have somebody else throwing you the ball. So it's like out of, I don't even know how many attempts he could possibly have in the season. Let's just put out like a random number. He has to have 4 out of 400 attempts thrown at him this season. He has to get at least 250, something along those lines. Hopefully those numbers are a lot better, but you get the point I'm trying to make is there has to be something else in that contract. So he gets more money if he gets it. If not, otherwise you just move on from Cortland Sutton here when his contract is over. So we will see what ends up happening with him. I'm glad to see that he was back out there for the majority of practice anyways. It was really good for him to be out there. He's a huge leader on this team. And you know what? Sean Payton even spoke on Cortland Sutton too. He didn't even know what the incentives were going to be. So that tells you it really had everything to do with Cortland Sutton's agent and George Payton as well.
Why was that important?
Yeah, and look, they've been working credit George and Cortland's agent, and they spend a lot of time in the summer just discussing it. I'm not even quite sure what the specifics are, and it's good to have him back out here. He provides leadership as well as skill set that we like, and just as we talked about the running back room, that position group is going to be interesting as you guys look at it, and try to put together and piece together. It's a big group, size-wise, and first year I ever coached in the NFL in 1997, I believe, in Philadelphia. We played the 49ers. I want to say it's 97, could have been 98. But it was at the old Veterans Stadium, and I remember when the Niners receivers walked out, and it was Jerry Rice, it was John Taylor, and it was Stokes, and I couldn't get over how they looked. And there is a prototype. That doesn't mean that they can't be smaller, then they have a different skill set. But in this league, that's what we're looking for, and this is a big group.
It is a big group. And I had posted over on Twitter, I said, wow, did not expect this to happen after Peyton's comments, essentially about Cortland Sutton, how we weren't going to hear anything else. And you guys, of course, had all of the responses, so I appreciate you. But a lot of people said, that's fine with me. Making him earn any extra pay is how contracts should be. I totally agree with you. At 400 yards for the season, that'll be about $37,500 per yard gains. Hot take, but he's going to drop on the depth chart real quick. I think Cortland Sutton will have more than 400 yards on the season. And if he only has 400 yards on the season, then holy smokes, that's absolutely insane, ridiculous, yada, yada, yada. But I think a lot of people are kind of in the exact same page of he has to go out there and get 1,000 yards. That's going to be 100% the standard. That's what it needs to be for him to be able to get paid more. And I 100% agree with that. So let's see. Don't think it was deserved, in my opinion. He hasn't proven much. He hasn't, which is why this incentives make sense instead of just a contract extension. Somebody else said makes it easier for him to trade. And someone else just said, just to shut him up and get this conversation done for now. We won't have to deal with this after the season. SP won't keep a 30-year-old wide receiver. And they are deep at wide receiver. So that's what makes this all just a little bit more interesting, in my personal opinion. Also, could you imagine if they actually had 400 attempts at Cortland Sutton this season? That'd be kind of crazy. I'm like going back to my number. I'm like, I should have just done something really simple. But besides fact, I think it's going to be a fun season. I'm excited for it. It's only just beginning when it comes to training camp. So I hope you guys are enjoying all of these solo sessions. Keep the comments coming, because I obviously love responding to them when it comes to social media and everything. I love hearing your guys' opinion. It also, super random, I was at Hobby Lobby today and somebody came up to me. I was on the phone, so I do apologize if you came up to me, but I just want to say thank you so much. It meant the world for me and for you to come up and say hi and that you enjoy all of the shows. So thank you again. I'm sorry. I was like hunting for something and I was on the phone and I was just trying to multitask. So I feel like I didn't give you the proper attention that you deserved on that moment, but I do appreciate it. And anytime you guys see any of us, come up to us, say hi. That's the best part about our jobs, is getting to talk sports with all of you guys. So we really do appreciate it. And I hope I see so many of you guys out at camp as well. So I appreciate you guys so very much. And we will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.